This is the story of a farmer's son who rose, not with comfort, but with conviction. A man who fought for his people's right to live free, speak loud, and walk proud. A nurse who traded syringes for rifles. A revolutionary who became a president. This is the story of Samora Moisés Machel. He was born in 1933, in a village called Chilimbine, in the Gaza province of Mozambique. The youngest of 5, the son of a poor farmer. They lived under Portuguese colonial rule, a system that bled the land and broke the people. Samora's father owned a few cattle, a sign of status, but even that couldn't shield them. To the colonizers, they were just another black family, just more labor for the fields and the mines. They taxed the family for land they had owned for generations. They called it civilization. Samora called it theft. He studied to become a nurse, one of the few professions allowed for Africans. But healing wounds wasn't enough. The deeper wound, the colonial wound, still bled. While working in a hospital, he saw it daily. Black patients treated like second-class beings. White doctors giving orders. Native staff paid less, spoken down to, discarded. He could have stayed silent. Instead, he walked out. He chose the path of resistance. In the early 1960s, Samora joined FRELIMO, the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique. But he didn't just join. He led. He trained in Algeria, studied guerrilla tactics, and returned not just with weapons but with purpose. 1964. FRELIMO launched its armed struggle. Samora was on the front lines. They moved through forests, struck outposts, ignited villages with songs of freedom. He became commander, then chief of staff, and when Eduardo Mondlane, the movement's first leader, was assassinated, Machel stepped up. They tried to break him with bullets. They failed. Because Machel was not just building an army, he was building a nation. He believed in something bigger than revenge. He believed in education, dignity, unity. Even in the middle of war, he opened schools in liberated zones. He taught peasants to read, raised women's voices, treated the struggle like a seed, not just for independence, but for transformation. June 25, 1975. Mozambique was free. After 500 years of colonial rule, the Portuguese flag came down. And who stood at the helm? Samora Machel, Mozambique's first president. His voice thundered from the capital. Our struggle has not been for a mere change of flags. We want to build a new society, free from exploitation, free from fear. He didn't just want independence. He wanted justice. He nationalized land. He expelled exploiters. He declared war on poverty, illiteracy, and disease. But he also made enemies. South Africa's apartheid regime saw in him a threat. A black president, radical and bold, spreading hope across borders. They feared what his ideas might awaken in their own oppressed. And so they plotted. October 19, 1986. Machel boarded a Soviet-made Tupolev plane after attending a regional summit in Zambia. He never made it home. The plane crashed in the Lubombo Mountains, near South Africa's border. The wreckage was fire and silence. The official report blamed the crew. But many knew better. To this day, questions haunt the crash. Did apartheid operatives fake navigation beacons to lure the plane off course? Was it sabotage? Assassination? Truth remains buried in smoke. What's undeniable is this. Samora Machel died, but his fire did not. Across Mozambique, people wept and rose. Children carried his name. Villages echoed his slogans. His widow, Graça Machel, stood tall, later marrying another giant of Africa, Nelson Mandela. His legacy was carved into the land. Samora Machel Avenue, Samora Machel University, Samora Machel Monument rising where the plane fell. But his true monument? People unchained. A nation that dared to believe. A continent still drawing strength from his sacrifice. He once said, "The struggle continues, a luta continua," and it does. Because Machel taught us that freedom is not a flag, it's a mindset. That leadership is not about power but about service. And that the truest revolution is not just to win the war, but to win the soul. Heroes may fall, but their dreams never die. If you found this story inspiring, Hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in fighting for what's right. Which revolutionary figure should we cover next? Drop it in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous.